Hi everyone, this is Atrey, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about communication skills, why they're important, what are certain aspects of communication that we might not be considering, and how we can possibly overcome some of the barriers to communication. So let's start. The dictionary defines communication as the imparting or exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or by using some other medium. Now, here I think it is crucial that we understand what the phrase some other medium means. Because for most of us, when we talk about the importance of communication skills, we usually restrict ourselves to our proficiency in speaking and the written word. Let me demonstrate what I'm talking about through an example. The first example is, let's take an example of the phrase, "Hello, how are you?" And let us take three different contexts in which we are actually using this phrase. This is a simple phrase, so we all know what it means, right? The first context is where I'm using this phrase with a colleague I meet at work every single day. So when I say this, I will possibly sound like this: "Hello, how are you?" Scenario 2: if I'm using this phrase for a long lost friend who I come across suddenly without any expectation or preparation, the same sentence will probably be delivered like this: "Hello, how are you?" Third scenario: my brother has a kid, a very incredibly cute 2 year old, and I go ahead and meet her and I say, "Hello, how are you?" in the babyish tone, right? So, can we really say that communication is restricted to just the words themselves? What we are talking about here is the paralinguistic aspect. That sounds like a pretty heavy word, so let's kind of decode that. What is it that we're talking about under paralinguistics? The tone, the pitch, the volume, and the rate of speech. All of these contribute towards the meaning that is being conveyed. And like the example that we went ahead and discussed, the meaning is actually different in all three cases, right? You would be possibly surprised to know whenever we feel bad about something somebody has said to us, it is not really about the words, it's more about the tone. So I remember when I was a kid in school, I remember, once having sought permission from my mother to go to a movie, and she said, "Of course, sure, no problem," right? So that was accompanied by certain gestures, and that was delivered in the tone that I just said. Now, at the age of about 14 or 15, it was evident that if I did go ahead for the movie, I would get into a big bunch of trouble. My mother did say yes, right? But did she mean it? So the reaction is to the tone and not just the words themselves. I also spoke about the accompanying facial expressions. So, what we are talking about here is body language. You might have heard the term before. And while we talk about body language, I wanted to quickly share something that is known as the Maharabian Theory. So, Albert Maharabian, he propounded a theory in which he said that only 7% of communication happens through words, 38% is through paralinguistics, the ones that we just discussed, and 55% is through body language. Body language will cover the minuscule changes in your posture, in your gestures, in your expressions, which communicate so much more than just the words or even the tone. There is an ex FBI agent by the name of Joe Navarro, and he's written a book called Everybody is Lying. No, not that. Uh, no body can lie, actually. My bad. Excuse me. Because that is honestly a fact. Even though we can lie through our words, and at times we can, through practice, become good at lying, and we can gain certain control over our paralinguistics. But to a trained eye, the body language will always give us away. So when we communicate, it is important to not only be congruent, which means that the words, the paralinguistics, and the body language should be in sync, but it is also important to observe all these three aspects when we are listening to somebody. Let's take an example of one of the ways in which we communicate through body language, which, by the way, also would include our clothing. So, if I'm communicating through gestures and I smile at you, I shake your hand and I greet you, and you do not really get very good vibes of me. This again is a term that's probably something you can identify with. Some people are highly intuitive and they are able to pick up vibes uh, much better than some other people. Now, what do we actually mean when we talk about vibes? There is a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink, in which he talks about the power of human intuition. Some of us are more attuned to our intuition and are more aware than the others. But the fact is that over our lives, we actually develop through our subconscious a mechanism for picking up patterns before the conscious mind can actually make sense of it. So, if you are getting the wrong vibes from somebody, it probably is because your subconscious is mapping it to a previous experience that you've had. Now, we are exposed to a lot of information through our senses throughout each day, throughout the year. And cognitively, the brain can only process so much. The subconscious, however, is actually programmed to pick up and store all the things that you can observe in your environment, even though, like I said, we might not be consciously aware of it. So, the intuition is actually your subconscious mind at play, trying to keep you safe and trying to give you the right message. We've spoken about body language, we've spoken about paralinguistics, we've spoken about words, and we have also spoken about intuition. Um, I would not want to expound more on this because each of these topics are actually pretty vast, and to go in and deep dive would take a long time. There's just one thought that I want to leave you with. In order to become an effective communicator, the first step is awareness of a lot of aspects. Of course, you first gain the knowledge, but honestly, just the knowledge will not help. In order for it to become a skill, there has to be a lot of conscious practice. And eventually, it will become a part of your DNA where you can become an excellent communicator and you can communicate congruently in all aspects of your life. I hope you found some of what I said helpful, if not all. Please do let me know. It was wonderful sharing my thoughts with all of you. Thank you so much for listening to me. Do take care and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye bye.